Hey, welcome back to the Book Bar, where everything bookish is on the menu. I'm Anjanette Barr, and I just wanted to do a fun little informal video today to invite you to geek out a little bit with me over all of the many books that I purchased for myself for Christmas. So I have my apple cider here with me today. I thought that was a good Christmas drink to start us off with. And I'm going to go through my list of all the books that I bought for myself, not for anyone else, for Christmas. I actually did buy kind of a lot of books for other people as well, and my children did get a few other things, but it kind of got ridiculous. I like to shop early on in the year, and I don't always remember when it's something like a book that may not be like the main gift that I've purchased kind of a lot of them, because you can kind of like group some of those sorts of things together, right? So usually for my kids, I buy like a series that they've read a few of, and I know they'll enjoy like a boxed set or something like that. But this year really got out of hand, like all around with books. And one of my next videos is going to be about my reading goals for 2021, and spoiler, one of my reading goals is not to buy any books because last year was ridiculous. Yeah, it was definitely like my coping mechanism for COVID, for the pandemic. So anyway, for Christmas, I bought myself some nicer books that I wrapped for myself and opened. And then I bought some books that just didn't come before Christmas, both for me and other people, and that was super disappointing because, you know, the postal service was struggling. But they're all in now, and I kind of had this staggered Christmas, which was actually lovely. So I'm ready to share with you all of my many books that I got for Christmas. I have this stack on my lap. I'm zoomed in so you can't see yet. So I guess I'm just gonna start randomly. I have them stacked from biggest to smallest. Okay, yeah, we'll just start this way. Okay, so first one is, this was a complete impulse buy. I think I got it from Costco. I don't even know. Complete impulse buy. So, The History of Middle-earth, The Lost Road, and Other Writings by Tolkien, edited by his son Christopher, who passed this year, and it's beautiful. And I have a Tolkien shelf. Where's my Tolkien shelf? Right here. I have a Tolkien shelf, and so if it's something that I don't already have, I usually grab it. So this one has some like context written by Christopher about his father writing, so it's kind of a behind the scenes and an essay on the languages and the etymology of Tolkien. So this is just a really fun read that I probably am not going to get to in 2021, although I could surprise myself. But I say that because I am rereading Lord of the Rings and The Silmarillion for 2021, so this will just be a fun extra. Maybe I'll dip into it but not read all of it. So next, I bought myself Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. My primary reason is that next year my soon-to-be 13-year-old is studying physics, and it won't be at a high school level just yet, but I kind of thought this would be good to read ahead of time for fun, really, just because I like to have some conversation with them about what they're learning. And I know that so many people love this book, and I wanted to get myself some good nonfiction, and I think I got this on sale like Black Friday, so it was one of those like, oh, it's cheap, and you know, hey, yeah. So, but I am really excited about it because it's not that long, and I know he's a great writer, and it'll break up some of these other ones that I'm going to show you. So third, that I purchased for myself for Christmas. There's more than three. I feel really like indulgent, and it is pretty indulgent, but the only things I got myself for Christmas were books. This is number 3. And these really fun double-walled glass mugs that I've been eyeing. So I didn't really get, you know, a ton. I bought a lot of things for other people. And this is kind of a 2-for-1 because my husband will read some of these, my kids will read some of these, so, you know. Anyway, moving on. Of Bears and Ballots by Heather Lindy. Heather Lindy is a semi-local author. She lives in Haines, Alaska. I live in Juneau, Alaska. If you don't know anything about Juneau, we're isolated, so you can't just like get to Haines or anywhere else from Juneau. There are no roads out of Juneau, which is super fun sometimes. Not. But there is a ferry most years that goes between Juneau and Haines, and she writes a lot about Southeast Alaska, and she writes a lot about small town life, and she just has a really fun memoirish life, memoir style that just talks about aspects of life that you could easily overlook, I guess. Not mundane at all, but she has a really great eye for the things in life that we all think about and we want to talk about, but that aren't written about. So a little bit of background on her. She is a writer, obviously. She's a journalist, and she was, when she moved to Haines, I'm not sure how long she's been doing it, invited to write obituaries, and she's kind of good at it. She's really good at it. And so she does that, and then she wrote a book, and that one was called If You Lived Here, I'd Know Your Name. That was really great. That was my introduction to her. And since then, she's read several others like Take Care of the Garden and the Dogs and Find the Good. And then this one is her most recent, about small town life and local elections and public office, holding public office in a small town. So I'm excited about this one because I will read anything she writes, and you know, I live in a similar place. So that's Of Bears and Ballots by Heather Lindy. And then, okay, so now we get into the kind of ridiculously long stories. So I'm going to try to keep this under 15 minutes. All right, ready and go. Number 4, Across Real Time by Vernor Vinge. So I'm not going to say a lot about this particular book, except for that it's a dystopian sci-fi and that it's older than I am, or maybe, when was it written? Okay, it was actually written in 1984, the first one. It's actually a duology. It's The Peace War and Marooned in Real Time, and this put together in this omnibus edition. And the reason I bought this book, long story that I'll try to keep short, is that when I was a young teenager, I want to say 13, around my son's age, I went into a used bookstore in my hometown that I had been just kind of waiting to be old enough to go into. The person who owned the store was a little bit, she was uncomfortable with children, I think. And so I always felt a little bit like I needed to be a little bigger to really just wander. She kind of eyed the kids, you know? So I remember going in for one of the first times, maybe the first time that I ever went in there by myself, and I purchased a stack of books, and I'm pretty sure this was in the stack of books that I bought and not as a single. She did this thing where it was like a stack of 5 books for $5, but you can only see the top and the bottom ones, or like, yeah, so like the 3 in the inside were kind of mysterious, or maybe you could see the spines of all of them, but you couldn't like flip through them, so it was a little bit of like a grab bag, which I thought was really awesome. And they were grown-up books, and I was excited to get them. I don't remember at all what was in the rest of them, but this book, or set of books in one, just captured my imagination and totally turned me on to sci-fi and fantasy and dystopian, I guess, although I didn't really realize it until I was reading back through the synopsis. And I read it twice, I remember, and also just kept thinking about it. Okay, so here's the funny long story that I was leading up to. So a year ago, this book came to mind for some reason, and I really wanted to get my hands on it. I knew that I had given it away, thrown it away, I think, after high school. I think it had gotten damaged, and but I wanted to read it again. So I just kind of crowdsourced on Facebook, and I said to my friends, does anyone remember a book that was, I think, sci-fi, and it had a bubble on it, and it was this color palette, and I put like a paint swatch color palette of like purple and green and blue. And I was like, anybody have this, you know, in your memory? So that they helped me out by asking questions like, do you remember anything about the plot? Do you remember the author, what their name started with? And between them and me, we eventually found it. I was so excited, found it. So I had to have a copy with this art. This art is by Tom Kidd, I'm almost positive, who's done a lot of sci-fi and fantasy novels. I had to stop and regroup because I totally spilled apple cider down my front. So, so little commercial break. If you're interested in any of these books, I am going to link them below, and I'll link them at bookshop.com and Amazon. I've been trying to do a lot more used books and a lot more small shops, and I know a lot of you have too, so I definitely encourage you to look for them wherever you can if they spark an interest. And I'm not giving, you know, huge synopsis because I'm trying to keep it short, so do go check them out for sure. So there's only 2 left. I'll tell you altogether there are 6, right? Yeah, there's 6. So altogether there are 6, 2 more. So this one is a total indulgence, and I'm almost embarrassed to show you, except I'm not. So I got this book, Clanlands, and it's the second. I don't know, I was pretty excited about these last 3 that I've shown you. But this one took some work to get, because not only did I buy it from a smaller store, but I got a copy. Here's my receipt. That is the suspense, signed by the authors Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish. See, Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish, but also by Diana Gabaldon, because Diana Gabaldon wrote the foreword, and because I got this from the Poison Pen, which is the Poisoned Pen, which is the bookstore in Arizona that she frequents and often signs books at, and they made these available with all of their signatures, which was super nice. And I have a friend, a close friend, who is an Outlander fan, and so I wanted to get this for her, but then I couldn't help getting one for me. I was really excited when it came in because it's so fun. It's got a center section with lots of photos of both of the authors, and lots of just Outlanderish fun. So I'll talk about Outlander in a minute, but the subtitle here is Whiskey, Warfare, and a Scottish Adventure Like No Other. So if you haven't seen, they're doing a show on Starz that's about traveling across Scotland, and it seems really fun and silly, and it's just coming out like next week. So I haven't watched the show, but this is just basically I think it's just the written version of their story, where they're just kind of going and exploring Scotland. So I'm really excited to read this because I have a feeling it's going to be fun, but also really informative, and I just love Scotland, and have a lot of reasons for enjoying Scotland, but I think that this will be a fun little treat sometime. So yes, Outlander is controversial, and I will do an Outlander video sometime, I promise, because Outlander is one of those things that you either love or you hate, and a lot of people really, really hate it, and I totally get why. I respect your opinion, but I love Outlander, and I think my reasons, I think everyone who has like a fandom that they love, their reasons, they feel like they have very personal, like, you know, their own reasons that are different from everyone else's, and I think that's one of the reasons why certain book series, certain TV shows, any kind of fandom get such strong followers, because you individualize your reasons for adoring them. And so I do want to tell about my reasons for enjoying Outlander, the books, and why I actually do enjoy Outlander, the series. Although, yeah, I mean, I do. I enjoy Outlander, the series. They're a little bit of a package now, although I did read the books before the series. And if I do have some Outlander fans lurking, you should definitely comment and make me feel less embarrassed for having just admitted that. My last one is Dream Thief by Stephen Lawhead. This book is a special edition. This is one of the earlier books that he published. It's a sci-fi, and he published it. I should have looked this up ahead of time. He published it originally in 1983. That is the year I was born. And then he got the rights back, and so he decided to make a new version of it, and he did a Kickstarter, and this Kickstarter like got all of its funding just immediately, and I was one of those first people, and I thought, guys, you could have asked for so much more. And then they went ahead and did like a lot of extras, which were really fun. But what I got for supporting them is, yay, a signed copy of this beautiful new hardcover copy of Dream Thief. And I know that Stephen went through and did a lot of updates, and it sounds like he kind of revamped quite a bit of it. So I'll have to read, and I may redo the, or read the original if I can get my hands on it. I actually don't have a copy anymore. So I'll see what I can do, and then read this one again. I would love to see. It's really fun to see an author's growth and how he writes now, 37 years after the original. That would be really fun. So Stephen Lawhead, if you are not familiar with him, you need to be. He writes fantasy, sci-fi, historical fiction fantasy, some mashups of those. And he has a very distinct style that I love. And my Stephen Lawhead story, why Stephen is so special to me, I think I would have found him eventually anyway, but here's the story. In college, we were all sitting around talking about books, as we did and still do, and one girlfriend said that she loved Stephen Lawhead's Song of Albion trilogy, which is phenomenal, so please read it. It's fantasy. It's portal fantasy specifically. And she was talking about how much she loves it and how she reads it every year, and some of our other friends were like, yeah, it's so good, and others were like, oh, do you know Byzantium? And they were just talking about Stephen Lawhead, and I was just a bystander because I had yet to read any Stephen Lawhead. And one of our friends kind of had been silent and kind of giggles and says, so Stephen's my uncle. To which, of course, we all just freaked out, even me, because even though I hadn't read it, you know, though I had not read him, that's super exciting to have an uncle who's like a prolific, famous author, right? So, you know, of course, there was lots of fun after that, and getting to know all that we could about him. And I of course read him after that point because that good friend of mine is his niece, and fell in love with him so much. Our first son, his name is Aiden, after Saint Aidan, the main character of Byzantium. So we definitely named our kid after one of Stephen's characters, spelled the same way. It has to be spelled A-I-D-A-N, because, well, sorry, Aiden's really popular. You guys probably have kids named Aiden. That's still the right spelling. And then subsequently named our third child after Stephen's son. Not really. Stephen has a son named Ross, who he has inserted in as a character in some of his children's books, which are super sweet and wonderful. And our third son's middle name is Ross. However, my father's name is Ross, so that's really why we named him Ross. But it was really fun to be able to use my connection to get a signed copy of that children's story that featured the main character Ross for my little Alexander Ross. So anyway, I'm very much looking forward to this. And so tell me if you got any books for Christmas, and have you read them yet? And what were they? Did you buy them for yourself? Did someone buy them for you? I did receive a couple of books from other people that I did not share, which are going to be wonderful, and they may make it into later videos. But I just wanted to show you the books that I kind of went overboard on buying for myself this year. And thanks for watching The Book Bar. Tell me what you're reading and what's in your cup, and I hope that you'll stop by for the next video.